This is Mighty CS Man. I teach a complete curriculum in Java programming using the Building Java Programs book, and they have a website called Practice It, which you can do the problems in. So this is problem 5.12. If you look in my channel, you can go to my week 1 orientation, and I show you how you can log in to Practice It and set up an account for yourself. So the self-check 5.12 is called printLetters, and they've got a method here, printLetters, that is buggy, and it accepts a string as a parameter, and it attempts to print the letters of the string separated by dashes. So print letters of rabbit should print all these letters with the dash. And there's a bug. So first of all, let's see, and notice also your method should print nothing if the empty string is passed. Let's click submit and see what the problem is. This is a very useful thing to see. So it is giving you an expected output and what your output is. And the difference is that there's this little dash off to the end. And if you've read Chapter 5, you know that this is a classic fence post algorithms. These letters here are like the posts, and the dashes are like the pieces of fencing, and we don't want to stick that last one off to the end. So there's a number of cases out here, and let's do it one case at a time. So how do we solve the fence post algorithm? Well, the book suggests a method they call the loop and a half. So what the loop and a half does is you're going to have to do a half loop outside of the loop, and inside the loop you're going to do a full loop. And we got to figure out what the full loop and what the half loop are. So the half loop, as the book indicates, is let's do the full loop. Okay, so normally the full loop would be print a letter and then a dash. Whoops, sorry. A letter and a dash. But as the book explains, what we end up doing, because if we do a letter dash, we end up with that bug. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do in the half loop, we're going to print the first letter. Then in the full loop, we're going to reverse the order. We're going to do a dash and then a letter. And that way, R goes here, then dash A dash B dash B dash I dash T, and then we stop. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. What's that half loop? It's going to be system.out.print, not println, but print, because we don't want to cause a new character to be printed. And then we've got the string, which is called text dot, and then we want to get that first character. How do you get the first character? So in Java, you have to use the function char at. And 0 is the first character because it's indexed by 0. So that's the half loop. Then the full loop is printing the dash first, followed by string concatenation, the char at starting at 1. So we need to change this from starting at 0 to starting at 1. Okay. So now this should print the correct thing. So it's going to print the first letter, and then it's going to print letter dash, sorry, dash letter, dash letter, dash letter. So let's see what that does. Okay. Oh, right. And it also said should print nothing if the empty string is passed. Okay, so we need to avoid the empty string. So we need to put a big if statement here. If text.length greater than 0, we're going to do this. We could do the opposite, but I think it's going to be easier to do it this way. And unfortunately, there's not an easy way. In Eclipse, I could just, oh, it does work. Okay, I just hit tab. Great. So now this should not crash for, not test, it's text. So now this should not crash for the 0. Yes, okay. So this shows that it's running 5 different tests. The first one was rabbit. Second one is Leslie is awesome. Interesting that it has the dash afterward. That's what it wants. Okay, Java rocks Y. Good. Okay, so that's all correct. I just realized why this looks funny. So it's got this dash off the end, which is what we're trying to avoid with the loop and a half. The reason why is because it's actually printing the spaces. There's a space here. That's why it looks like this. But notice at the very end of the string, there is no dash. Same thing here. It looked really weird seeing this dash there, but that's actually because that character is a space character there. So it's actually doing exactly what we wanted. All right, so in review, print letters. What did we learn here? So this is a classic fence post algorithm where instead of printing a letter dash, letter dash, letter dash, which is the post and then the fence, and ending an extra fence hanging off the end, what we do is we do the loop and a half solution. So these two things are different. So the fence post is a type of algorithm that it's a type of problem really that we see, and the loop and a half is a solution. It's a solution for the fence post problem. It's also can be a solution for sentinel problems. Okay, it's not always, but sometimes. So, but this is a case where it's a fence post problem and it's a loop and a half solution. So the loop and a half, you want to do the half loop, which is the first post. Okay, and then the full loop, which is to reverse the order of the expected operations. Instead of printing letter dash, we do dash letter dash letter dash letter. Now you're going to be seeing a lot of this loop and a half solution throughout the course and in some of the homeworks. So it's really important to understand this. I get students who all the way to the end of the final exam don't get this. So it's a very important thing to get. Okay, how do you identify a fence post type problem? You identify a fence post type problem because you have a case where you have, really in the most general case, I call it n items separated by n minus 1 items. Okay, you've got fences and fence posts, and you've got one fewer fencing items. Okay, that's how you identify. It doesn't always have to be printing. Sometimes it could be two different processes, it's kind of hard to say without showing you an example, but it could be other things other than printing. But whenever you see something like this printing, it could be a number, comma, number, comma, number. I have an assignment where I ask students to do a blackjack, and I want them to print out the cards, and it's card, comma, card, comma, card. Okay, whenever you see that kind of thing, then you know where you've got n items separated by n minus 1 separators. That is a fence post problem. Then the other half is, if you do have a fence post problem, you can solve it with an algorithm called the loop and a half. Okay, and really the key thing for the loop and a half is take the normal operation, which would be printing letter and then dash, letter dash, letter dash, and then reverse it to print dash letter dash letter dash letter. But you need to print the first post, or in this case letter, outside the loop. That's the half loop, and this is the full loop. All right, so that is the fence post problem and the loop and a half solution. I will also again mention that loop and a half is not actually something that most programmers know. It is something that this book has come up with, that terminology, in order to solve a very common problem, and it's a good solution because it always works. Okay, there's another way to solve this problem using an if, but it doesn't always work. It's really hard to get into, but it doesn't always work. So this way is guaranteed to work. And so this is the way the book recommends, and this is the way you should be doing it in this class. But just know that if you go to any random programmer and you say, oh, hey, I did it with a loop and a half solution, they're going to look at you strange. They're not going to know what you're talking about. But as long as you can do it, that'll be fine. And so if you found this problem helpful, please like and subscribe. I do have the full Building Java programs. I have lectures for every chapter, and I do a lot of these practice it problems as well.